this video, we're going to discuss 5 tips specific to the DCF Analysis Workbook. This is a wonderful tool, and it's helpful if you know some of these tips and tricks while you're using this workbook. The first tip is the first 5 lines of this workbook are information only. So you don't really need to fill out any of those first 5 lines in order for the workbook to calculate, but they're nice for informational purposes: name, type of property, purpose of the analysis. So much more descriptive than they are involved in the actual analysis. The second tip is always execute the drop downs first. So I'm going to go over here to the first drop down that we see, line 7, assessed appraised value. I don't want to enter a number into the cell first. Your first move has to always be execute that drop down that provides a descriptor of that cell. Once you choose the proper descriptor, then you can go ahead and enter the information into the cell. So that's the second tip. Always execute that drop down first. The third tip is to understand what those drop down choices actually mean. So most of them are fairly self-explanatory, but if I drop down here to line 15, potential rental income, you'll see several choices. Understanding what those choices mean and how the cells need to be entered after you choose that descriptor will make your life much easier when using this workbook. The fourth tip is blank cells. These can be deadly in using this workbook. There's 5 cells that absolutely have to be filled in regardless of the cash flow model that you're working with. Number 6, size. Number 12, acquisition price. Number 15, potential rental income. And scrolling down here to number 31, anticipated holding period. And finally, number 32, disposition price. You have to have all 5 of those entered in for the calculation macros to actually work. Now, if you're going to layer in financing and or taxation, there's certainly additional cells that need to be filled in, but at a minimum, you need to have those 5 cells, lines 6, 12, 15, 31, and 32 filled in order for the macros to calculate. Fifth tip is this is native Excel. So I'm going to scroll back up here to potential rental income and show you an example using this particular line item. I'm going to choose total amount per year. And let's suppose I'm looking at a 25 unit apartment complex. It gets $1,000 per unit per month. Now I could figure that out on a side calculator or a scratch pad and enter in that total potential rental income. But because this is native Excel, I can go right in that cell, hit the equal sign, 25 units times $1,000 per unit times 12 months, and get to my $300,000 in potential rental income that way. So any of these cells can be used in a similar manner, again, because this is native Excel. So that's 5 tips for using the DCF workbook. First 5 lines are descriptors. Always fill in the drop down first. Understand what each of those drop down choices mean. Beware of blank cells. You need to have those 5 minimum cells filled out in order for the macros to calculate. And finally, this is native Excel, so you can use it just as you would a regular workbook to make your life a little bit easier. Hope you use this DCF analysis worksheet in good health and good luck.